section of professional development related to student advising. This portion is the transfer student advising. The first thing that we're going to look at is students who are transferring into Ozarka College from another institution. There are a few steps involved that need to be completed as students come in to our college from another institution. The first thing we want to do, of course, is to spend some time visiting with these students so that we can learn about these students and their desires, their interest. Try to find out what specific program they might be interested in. And sometimes you have to do this by the process of elimination. I met with a student last week that I spent 2.5 hours working with this student. She wasn't sure exactly what she wanted to take, what program she wanted to get involved in, what degree she wanted. She was a recently divorced mother of 3 who just was ready to find direction in her life, new direction in her life. She was ready to begin a new chapter, but she didn't know which chapter that was. So I sat down and visited with her for quite a while and discovered that through the process of elimination, she finally zeroed in on teacher education. But with her process, as with all other processes, I always start by asking them, what are you interested in doing, and what do you see yourself doing? And then from there, we pick out a program and say, okay, this seems to fit you and your interests. So let's talk about some of the classes involved. And when I do that, sometimes the students will say, oh no, I'm not good at those types of classes, so that's not for me. So we move to the next program of study. But anyway, this process, step number 1, takes considerable time to just spend. And sometimes I just sit and listen to the student, because as their story unfolds and as their desires and their goals begin to unfold, we can usually pinpoint the direction that they're interested in going just by listening to what all they have to say. Of course, once a student's degree program can be narrowed down, it's time then to connect that student with the program director in their interested field. And that's where if you happen to be the program director, then you know exactly what to do. Start the process of getting that student enrolled in the college, and then go from there with the transcripts and everything. But if you are not that student's program director or advisor, then you will want to connect that student with the program director in the area that they're wanting to pursue. Another step is it's helpful if you can get a copy of their unofficial transcripts. It's very important, especially if they don't have it with them that day. I would suggest that let's get you enrolled in the college doing the online application process, but then let's go from there to let me see your unofficial transcripts, and if we could set up a second meeting, if you don't have those with you, and let me go over your transcripts to see what you've already had. You want to review their transcript and evaluate it to see if the coursework that they've had will be accepted according to the coursework that we are offering. You also want to remember to check their grades on these transcripts, because some students may have a D, and if that is overlooked, if they have a D or an F, they definitely have got to repeat that course or those courses with those lower grades. I know in the teacher education program, a student cannot even have a C in order for that grade to be accepted or that course to be accepted. So check their transcripts and check their grades. Okay, so once we meet with these transfer in students and we go over their transcripts and everything and get them connected with their program director, let's move to the next step. Let's talk about preparing students. They've been in the program, they've been taking their classes, they've completed their 2-year program of study at Ozarka College, and now it's time to start preparing those students to transfer to a 4-year institution. Of course, this is the role of the student's advisor along with the program director. The first step goes along with the previous steps that we talked about for the students who are transferring into the college. But in this step, early on in their program of study, we want to meet with those students as soon as possible and discuss with them their career goals and their degree goals. I know that each program is different, but I know that for the teacher education program, depending on their career goals, as to what they specifically want to teach will determine the courses that they take in their degree program. So as the advisor and as the program director, you will also want to make contact with them frequently because they tend to change their mind from semester to semester. So stay in touch with them and discuss their degree goals and their career goals. Also, at this time, early in the meetings with them, early in their degree track at Ozarka College, start sharing with them information about our 2+2 transfer options. And again, this will be based on their degree and their career goals. But sometimes, depending on where they are transferring, will also determine the courses that they take. So make sure that you share that information with them and try to nail down, these are your transfer options. Which one are you leaning toward? Allow them to have some time to decide what is the best transfer option. Present all of the information to them, and it's best if you can have it in a handout packet. I've got all of mine in a little handout packet with a little binder on it, and I can just hand them. These are all of the 2+2 transfer options available. And, I will explain these to you, and then I want you to take this home and look over it and then come back and we'll talk about it. And you don't have to make a decision today, but pretty soon in your degree pursuit here at Ozarka, you need to make a decision because, again, depending on where you're transferring will determine the classes that you need to take. Some of the colleges, the institutions, will have transfer days. So make sure that you know about those transfer days and encourage the students to participate. They can go to the college and receive a guided tour. They can meet with the directors of those programs, transfer director, financial aid, and they can, begin to discuss with their transfer institution what they need to take care of and what they need to do. So that step can take place at any point in their degree pursuit at Ozarka College, but especially as they're nearing the end of their degree at Ozarka. Number 4, guide and direct them to the appropriate classes that are on their degree track and, of course, that are in compliance with their selected transfer option. Meet with your advisees every semester. I make it a requirement that you must meet with me in person at least one time a semester because I like to visit with them face to face and make sure that they are completely understanding all of this information. Mid-semester, in their last semester at Ozarka, that's when it's time to set up that transfer meeting. The meeting needs to take place between the dean, well, in my field, it's the dean of education and a transfer director that they meet with first. And I set this up for them. And that's when the screening process begins. The transfer process then also begins because they get clear and specific instructions from the transfer institution as to what they exactly need to do. So I set that up. It's a mandatory meeting that you attend, this screening information meeting before you graduate. Number 6, email an unofficial transcript to the transfer institution. Now, in my area, I email that transcript, that unofficial, we call it a degree audit. I email that to the Dean of Education, and I email that also to the transfer director so that they both have that. The Dean of Education will then look over the transcript and then pass it to the advisor that will be assigned to this person transferring in, and then they will know exactly how to start placing this new student in classes there. So set that up and then email that transcript. The next step is to guide the students in how to apply online to the next institution. I also tell them that they have to send their shot records to the next institution, and they have to go in and officially request their official transcripts to be sent to the next institution once this semester ends and grades are in. But I tell them to go ahead and take care of this before graduation or before the end of the semester so that they will have everything completely taken care of. I give them step-by-step instructions as to what they need to do. Something else that you will want to make your students aware of as they are getting ready to graduate, many of the four-year institutions offer transfer scholarships. And of course, this is based on the course hours that have been completed and the GPA. So stress that all along. You can possibly qualify for a transfer scholarship if you keep your GPA up and you complete so many hours. Some of these scholarships have early spring and fall deadlines, so it's important that you let the students know about this early in the semester so they can start researching it and digging into it and finding out for themselves what they need to do and exactly when they need to do it. Some of the four-year institutions also offer a small PTK transfer scholarship. If they are a member of PTK at Ozarka, then they qualify. If the transfer institution offers that kind of scholarship, they do qualify for it. So make sure that you make them aware of that. Okay, this concludes the portion on advising students who transfer in and all students who are getting ready to graduate and transfer out. I hope you've enjoyed this session of the PD, and I hope that you are able to find this information valuable.